There's no real down parts to this film. Like most of the old Hammer movies, it does take a little bit of time to get going, but as I did say in the review of She, the very first film, you know, it is, they're all slow burners. A lot of them are really slow burners to get going, but once you let them get into their stride, they're actually fantastic little films. Welcome to Here's Rodder's Reviews, the show that loves all things entertainment and shares that love with you. I am your host, Rodney Stewart. The Hammer Horror box set, I love it, guys. We're going to get into another review here. This is The Vengeance of She, which is a sequel to the 1965 hit film She, which, if you want to go back and check out that review, actually a really good movie. Now this sequel, which came out in 1967, is a pretty decent film. I don't think that it's quite as good as the original, but this time we find John Richardson, who was in the first movie, was promised immortality by the immortal Ayesha, Queen of Kuma, if I remember that right. Let me just check that. The Lost City of Kuma, yeah. And at the end of the film, immortality is given to the person by stepping into a flame that cools down once, as soon as a star gets to a certain point in the sky, the flame cools. You're able to step into that, and you're able to get immortality. And at the end of the film, Ayesha did not know that you can only enter the flame once or it will kill you. So at the end of that movie, John Richardson goes into the flame with her. He gets immortality and she dies. So basically, in The Vengeance of She, there's a beautiful young European girl, Carol. She's drawn through mental telepathy to the ancient city of Kuma, there to become the reincarnation of its former ruler, Ayesha. John Richardson's character has been waiting all this time for someone to be reincarnated as Ayesha. He thinks that this girl is her, and through telepathy and his priests and whatnot, it gets her to come to the city to take the place of the queen, give her immortality as well. And basically, it's not that this, well, it's going to spoil the movie completely for you, but by the end of the film we actually discover that it's one of the chief priests of his people that is orchestrating this whole thing, making him think that this girl is the reincarnation of Ayesha. But what he actually has in mind is to get the immortality for himself. And yes, by the end of the movie, she doesn't become Ayesha, and John, what, I cannot remember his name. John, why can I not remember the name Richardson? By the end of the movie, showdown happens with the head priest and the people that are helping this girl get to this lost city. And by the end of the film, John Richardson's character discovers that what the plot has been the whole time, it's actually not who he thinks or hopes it is. And you know, he decides to let her go. And you know, by the end of the movie, he decides he's had enough of being immortal, and actually walks into the flame himself at the end of the movie, and you know, just kills himself essentially at the end of it. So that was a very quick review of this film. As I say, it's worth a watch if you're into the Hammer horror movies. It is definitely worth your time to check it out. if you're a completist, you'll want to see all the Hammer movies anyway. And you know, by all means, it's not a bad film. It's entertaining. Keeps you. It keeps you there. It keeps you. Yeah, just, you know, your attention's on the film the whole time. There's no real down parts to this film. Like most of the old Hammer movies, it does take a little bit of time to get going. But as I did say in the review of She, the very first film, you know, it is. They're all slow burners. A lot of them are really slow burners to get going. But once you let them get into their stride, they're actually fantastic little films. This one is good. I can't stress that enough. I don't want to slag the movie off, but it's definitely nowhere near as good as the original She was. But again, if you do get a hold of the box set, don't be skipping over this movie. Definitely give it a look-see.